Hey everyone, so long time no see, I know. I'm done explaining why it takes me so long to upload videos while I'm pregnant. Anyone who's pregnant should be able to understand, especially if you've had a complicated, or just very, I don't know, difficult pregnancy. I know some people and they're like, oh yeah, like what morning sickness? Like, what do you mean you're fatigued? My mother's just like this. She's like, oh, I don't understand why you're so tired. Or, oh, I don't understand why you can't do that. Like, you're only pregnant. All I had was a little bit of sickness every once in a while. And I was like, well, congrats. I don't know. Awesome. Good for you. I don't know what to tell you. So, once again, sorry. I am hoping to be able to do somewhat regular videos from this point out, mostly just because I want to be able to share my information about my pregnancy with you guys. I have had a few complications, I've had a few difficulties, a few bumps in the road, so you will. Ha ha ha, so funny, bumps, baby bump, ha. But I want to be able to share that with you guys, and I want to be able to share it with my daughter when she comes, because by the way, we're having a girl, woo! I want to be able to share all of my pregnancy favorites with you guys. I want to share with you what actually works, because you will hear everything while you are pregnant. It's like the second you become pregnant, everyone thinks, okay, this is my opportunity, my once in a lifetime opportunity to give advice. Because even women who haven't been pregnant have been giving me advice. Pregnancy is a wonderful thing. So anyway, right now I'm 26 weeks and I will do like a little bump shot at the end, just so you guys can know. So this is going to be like my first and second trimester update. Just kind of tell you guys what's been going on, how it's been, which has been pretty shitty, but it could be worse. I am not saying that at all. When you hear me complaining either on Instagram, on Twitter, on these videos, if you hear me like complaining about anything, I'm not saying that, oh, I have the worst it's ever been out there. There are people who have it so much worse than me throughout their pregnancy. I've heard of women who've had to be on bed rest the whole 9 months. I've heard of women who've had like just awful, awful pregnancies. And I'm not saying that mine compares to theirs, mine's worse than theirs. I'm not saying that at all. I am just saying that my personal experience, I am not enjoying. Sorry, I have a really bad baby brain, so this video might be like all over the effing place because I don't know. I can't keep my mind on track of things. Yeah. Anyway, so actually getting on to the update portion of the video. So let's just get into first trimester. So my first trimester, holy shit. It was awful, to be honest. I was constantly getting sick, constantly, like to the point where like I was reading like what to expect when you're expecting. If you get sick more than 2 to 3 times a day, go to the hospital. I'm like, should I spend every day at the hospital? Like, what the fuck? Yeah, I was getting sick close to like 6 to 10 times a day, and I don't know if anyone might find that TMI, but too bad. That's just, this is going to be a very personal, just honest update. Yeah, so I was getting sick a lot, in my opinion, for a person who I probably, like before being pregnant, I probably hadn't gotten sick in like 2 to 3 years. Like I'm not a person who gets the stomach flu. Like I'm just not somebody who has to get sick, often anyway. But when I'm not pregnant, obviously, because when I'm pregnant, it's like, oh, okay, good luck with that. So it was just a complete change for my body. And work became unbearable. As some of you may know, I was working as a visual merchandising specialist for a company. I'm not going to say which company because there might be a lot of like negative references to said company, because okay, that'll be later on in the video. I will explain that, because I didn't stop working until halfway through my second trimester. So in the first trimester, work became extremely unbearable. I did end up going to my doctor and getting diclectin, which is a medicine. It's the lowest level of morning sickness or nausea medication that they will give pregnant women. So basically, if you go in there and say that you're sick at all, well, here in Canada anyway, they will prescribe you diclexin. So I went to my doctor around, this probably wasn't until about like 11 or 12 weeks, because my doctor was very against diclexin. Like, I've heard of some doctors that you go in and they say, like, your first pregnancy appointment, they're like, oh, okay, do you need anything? So when it came to the point where I was probably calling into sick to work about once a week, I went to my doctor and she got me a prescription, which was good. Kind of helped. I still had about every other day. I was still sick. It just wasn't as bad or to the same extent. So made work a little bit better for me throughout the first trimester. I just remember a lot of waiting. Like, I just felt like we told our friends and family around 8 weeks. So it just felt like I was just waiting. Like, it felt like, oh, well, I'm not big enough yet. I'm not, like, there's not a lot going on yet. I'm just being sick and miserable every single day. As for bump, I started to show, like, extremely show around 8 weeks, which was crazy. People thought I was about, like, a full month or two ahead of where I was in my pregnancy, because at 8 weeks, I probably looked like I'd already finished my first trimester. I had to switch into maternity clothing at 8 weeks. So I did have quite the bump, to the point where my regular jeans wouldn't button. I was using the hair tie trick from 6 weeks to 8 weeks, and that wasn't even cutting it. So, like, I had quite the bump, but then my bump didn't grow from like 8 weeks to about 16, 17 weeks. So my doctor said that could be normal. So anyway, been wearing maternity clothes and having quite the bump since about 8 weeks. What else happened in the first trimester? Oh, my man, my significant other, he ended up having to go away, because if you don't live in Alberta, Canada, which most people don't live in Alberta, Canada, that's just statistical facts, there is a pretty big recession on the go, and has been on the go since the beginning of the year. So in late March, I would say. So when I remember I was about like 7 or 8 weeks pregnant. He ended up having to start doing camp rotations, which, if you're not from Alberta, once again, this is a very common thing here. Just not common for us particularly, like me and him. But it is, my cat's trying to get underneath the blinds. So if you hear noises, that's what's going on. It's basically where you go on rotations. You stay out at camp, like a camp, okay, my cat would just fell. You stay out at this camp for, sometimes it can be 14 days, sometimes it can be 24 days, just depends on what rotation you're on. And he had a 15 and 6 rotation, so he would be out there for 15 days and then come home for almost a week. But that ended up being really hard. We ended up moving into our apartment at the end of April, when I was about, so I would have been close to, like, I think I was like 10 to 11 weeks at that point. And while we were moving into my apartment, I just remember being so sick. I thought I had the worst cold. It had been going on for about half of my first trimester. I had had a cold. And that's exactly what I thought it was. I was just extremely fatigued, which is common for the first trimester. Like, to the point where I could barely move anything. I had a sore throat, stuffy nose, but I wasn't coughing or anything, which I thought was a little weird. And I had, like, my ears hurt, so I assumed I had an ear infection. So around 12 weeks, I got to the point where I was just like, okay, this is awful. I hate my life. My throat felt like it was so sore and so swollen that I could barely breathe. So I went to the emergency room. It turns out I had tonsillitis, which, if you guys don't know, it's basically just swelling of the tonsils. Most kids, like most younger kids, get this, and they just get removed. But while you're pregnant, they can't really remove anything from your body because they can't put you under, because they can't use the anesthesia on you. So all they could do was say, oh, that's too bad. We'll put you on an IV and hopefully it stops swelling. And Congrats. So not only had my tonsils been swollen, but they'd also been infected. So it was just a horrible situation. It took me like a good 2 to 3 weeks to recover from that. And then I still had the cold. So no, actually I think I might have been like 2 weeks without a cold. Long story short, I've spent most of my pregnancy with a cold. Like just constantly being sick. Anyway, I've been sick since like about 6 or 7 weeks pregnant. Just not like sick, like I've been sick like that too, but like I've been like cold sick since then, which isn't like the worst thing in the world. I can handle a cold, unlike my man, because he just can't. He can't do colds. Anyway, did I tell you this would be a rambly video? So the first trimester, that was about all that happened. Spent a lot of time by myself with my cat. Spent a lot of time hating my life and hating my job. Yeah, totally fun. So I rolled into the second trimester, and my whole pregnancy, with me getting sick and having so many issues, everyone kept telling me, oh, it's the second trimester, it's gonna be so much better, like, you're not gonna have to be sick at all, you're gonna have so much energy, blah, 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 lies, 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 lies. So I kept my morning sickness and nausea, still to this day. I kept the fatigue. I have not had one day that I can honestly say that I have not been so tired to the point where I feel like I'm going to faint if I walk around for more than an hour or two. No, I do not have anemia. I was fully convinced of this. No, I don't have it. I'm just really fatigued all of the time. Yeah, so basically every magical symptom that everyone said would float away, didn't. For me anyway. So, throughout the second trimester, around 16, 17 weeks, my man got to come home for good. No, it wasn't 16, it was like 18 weeks. My man got to come home for good, which was amazing. Loving having him home for good. It is amazing. 20 weeks, we went and got a 3D ultrasound done on our baby girl and found out that she was a baby girl through a gender reveal party at my mom's house. Woo! She had a little piñata. Sadly, she got no footage or pictures, which I told her specifically. I was like, Mom, film pictures, that kind of thing. And she just, apparently she was too caught up in the moment because me and him were being so romantic that she couldn't take pictures. So anyway, we found out it was a little girl, which was amazing. So basically we've been shopping nonstop since then, especially since I'm due in October. Well, the end of October, so she's gonna be a Christmas baby. Because you guys know me, like anything after Halloween is Christmas. Like basically, just anything after Halloween, it's just Christmas time. Around 20 weeks, actually I think it was at 20 weeks, like I had just turned 20 weeks, I ended up having really strange pain attacks. Like I don't even know a better way to put it. It would be unbearable, sharp, stabbing pain to my whole abdomen. And I was like, this isn't contractions. Because I've been having Braxton Hicks since like 8 weeks. Also, update. So I was like, this isn't contractions. What the fuck is going on? And it would be like, to the point where I couldn't do anything. I had to, like, while I was having them, and they'd go on for like an hour at a time, I would have to lay on the cold floor and most of the time just screaming because it hurt so bad. And of course I'd get sick throughout this whole process because my body just couldn't handle the pain. And then one time it was so bad that I actually ended up going to the hospital on the ambulance because I was over at my parents' house at the time, and my sister was like, the fuck's happening to you? I'm calling 911. Because of course I'd experienced it myself, but I hadn't been there while anyone else was witnessing this, and they're like, what the hell? Anyway, my sister's, a funny story about that. My sister's like 15, and when she called 911, the person on the other end of the line was not helpful whatsoever, by the way, because I said, no, I'm definitely not having contractions, but this person was trying to like guide my little sister through giving birth, and she was scarred. Like, even to this day, she's like, I don't know what the hell I would have done, because like I was only 20 weeks pregnant, so my baby was like a little over a pound. She is obviously like an unskilled 15-year-old who hasn't even done biology. So she's just like, well, what am I supposed to do? And they're like giving her all this advice, like, if she feels the urge to push, don't let her push. And Susan, yeah, so she was having a mini heart attack while waiting for this ambulance to show up. So anyway, got to the hospital. They brought me to labor and delivery, which was awful. The nurses at labor and delivery were so awful to me, mostly because I wasn't in labor, and I fully knew that. But our hospital regulation states anyone over 20 weeks pregnant brought in by the ambulance automatically goes to labor and delivery. So I was sitting there and I could hear the nurses gossiping about me over in the corner. So that was a great experience. Of course, being in all this pain, I loved that. Also, my doctor took 3 hours to show up at the hospital to do a bedside ultrasound, which was great, especially since the nurses wouldn't try hard enough to find her heartbeat with the Doppler. So I was freaking out. So was my partner, of course, because he wasn't here. Oh no, maybe he didn't get home, because he wasn't able to be there, so he was freaking out. So overall, it was just a very stressful experience. Turned out I just had a gallbladder attack. Another thing in my body that wishes to be removed, but cannot be. So, basically they said the same thing that they did with my tonsils and just said, oh, that's too bad. Hope it doesn't happen again. Good luck with that. So that's great. I just have the best luck. So around that time, around 18, 19 weeks, I actually put in my notice at work, which was a tough decision, but I ended up just having a lot of problems there, mostly because they were actually, I might just make a separate video about my experience working while pregnant, because it deserves its own video, because I will literally turn this into a 40-minute video if I include that in this one. So stay tuned within the next week or two for that video. So anyway, I ended up leaving my job. So I have been on maternity/sick leave since then, because here in Canada you can't go on technical maternity leave until 8 weeks before your due date. So right now I'm on sick leave, and then I turn into maternity leave, and then on and then into just stay-at-home mom. So updates from the second trimester. I still have that cold. I'm still getting sick, like every day. Well, I'd say it's not every day. About 5 days a week, I am ridiculously sick. I have also had a few other issues going on. I'm not going to go into TMI about it. Because of something that's going on in the baby's area, I have been marked as high risk for preterm labor. But my doctor has decided not to put me on bed rest. But of course, because she says that I'm at a risk for preterm labor, I've kind of put myself on bed rest. Because I'm like, I'm not fucking walking around and letting this baby fall out. You know, that's just a concern of mine. Like, so that's been really fun. Just going to my regular prenatal appointments. Not a whole lot's been happening. Everyone says that the funnest time is 28 to baby birth, basically. But to me, this whole process has not been very fun. Of course, we've been feeling a lot of kicks throughout the second trimester. She loves kicking, especially when Daddy's reading her stories. She loves that. We've been doing the process where, like, my partner, Lane, he reads to my belly. To like read to her, and she like kicks like crazy throughout that. So that's been cute. Other than the fact that it feels like she's trying to kick through my stomach. So that's about it, really. I haven't had the most exciting pregnancy, to be perfectly honest with you. What really pisses me off is when you're on apps, like I use a few pregnancy apps, which I will mention in my pregnancy hits and misses video, which will also be coming up this week or next week. That there's some pregnancy apps that I've been using, and they keep updating me, and they're like, oh, you might as well use that energy while you can, or oh, you've been logging in morning sickness for the last few weeks. Most women don't get that during their second trimester. You should call your doctor. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, thanks for pointing out what I haven't got. Like, thanks for pointing out the beautiful symptoms that apparently I didn't get to have. if any of you guys are currently pregnant or are thinking about getting pregnant, make sure to comment down below about the best and worst pregnancy symptom you've had so far, and also include how many weeks you are. And if you're not pregnant, comment down below, like if you're not pregnant yet, comment down below and say what you think will be the worst pregnancy symptom for you, because everyone takes on pregnancy symptoms differently. Like, I find that the nausea was 10 times worse than the heartburn, and some people find it the other way. So what you think will be the best and worst pregnancy symptom, and then if you're pregnant, say what has been the best and worst. So, oh, and a bump shot, obviously. This is the bump at 26 weeks. See, like, I got really big to begin with, like I said, and then I feel like I've just been like I feel like I just haven't been getting that big since then. So anyway, I hope you guys really enjoyed this. I hope to see you guys next time. I can't wait to make another pregnancy video to be able to talk to you guys all about my pregnancy hits and misses, so stay tuned for that one, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!